Another section, to be honest, simply sold out. Because you've got now the situation where...
What is sold out?
Sold out to Mr. Modi. I mean, you've got the chairman of one of India's largest media companies actually sharing a platform at election rallies with Mr. Modi.
Who is this?
No, I can't, you find out. Do some investigation.
Well, I'm not a journalist. Because you're the journalist. No, I'm a simple, humble politician.
No, you'll put it next on Twitter and put me in trouble.
No, who is the chairman of this company?
No.
Subhash Chandra Goel. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
okay.
So
but Rajdeep, you're telling me you're the guy who's tweeting from Madison Square Garden before that incident that Gautam Adani is meeting and having coffee in Modi's room, and then now you're asking me to do investigative journalism.
No, that was my... No, look.
You got into trouble because of that?
No, nothing like that.
You mentioned Adani.
Yeah, I mentioned it. I didn't get into trouble because of that.
You got into trouble, they kicked you on the shin.
No, I'm not going to get into Trinamool Congress's fight with Modi is not my fight. Okay? You fight your battle with Modi. I'm not going to fight your battle for you.
You don't need to fight, yeah. We don't need to fight also. People will throw him out. Anyway. But yes, the gentleman in the red shirt. See, I like red also.
Hi, Rajdeep.
Hi.
Coming to your kurta colors, whenever you're in Calcutta, do you plan your kurtas? The last time I heard you at Calcutta Club, you were in the red kurta. Today, green. What next?
No, I'm a walking, talking advertisement for Fab India. That's all.
Okay. The lady this side, the young lady in the red... red sweater. Sorry. Okay. I said top. So today's red. See, you are in red. You are being noticed. Another lady in red.
Is this on?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. So there's a very disturbing trend or rhetoric on social media these days where being secular, for instance, is brandished as an insult. You are dismissed for being a secular idiot. So is this something you think is popular sentiment or something that's been pumped in by political parties and you find this disturbing?
I think it's a bit of both.
Good question.
I think it's a bit of both. And what my worry is the conspiracy of silence. I mean, my worry about all of this, whatever is going on around us, is that we are not willing to question the dominant narrative. And we may be wrong. And, whether it's on news traders, whether, as I said, being called a news trader or being called secular or being called all kinds of awful things, I'm okay with the abuse. But what I don't understand is why is there no attempt made to challenge the dominant narrative without being called all these names. And I think it's extremely troubling. I mean, I just tweeted the other day that in the 1970s, a political party, i.e. the Congress, censored the media. And journalists got up and protested. A number of courageous journalists. Some of them fell in line, crawled, but a number of them protested. Today you have a situation where journalists themselves are censoring political parties, where their owners are censoring political parties, where their owners are frankly in bed with political parties. And nobody wants to say a word. Where today the kind of language that you mentioned is used freely, and people are, anonymity, the anonymity of social media gives people almost the license, they believe, to say what they want. And nobody wants to protest or challenge this narrative. And I worry about that because, what kind of an India do we want in the future? Do we want this kind of intolerant, polarized India? And that, to my mind, is my biggest concern for the next generation. I mean, this country's greatness is that this is a country which allows you to have a debate or a dialogue. But I find the space for a rational debate or dialogue shrinking. I may be wrong on my definition of secularism. I'm open to being questioned, challenged, but it should be done in some kind of a, rational atmosphere, not surrounded by goons. Now the goon squad has taken over. Whether it's a film that is not to be shown, whether it's a book which is going to be burnt, whether it's an individual who's going to be targeted, it's now become, with the implicit threat of violence also, which exists. And I don't see enough of a challenge that takes place, even in this great city of Kolkata.
You talk about the dominant narrative.
Yeah.
So, do you see yourself as the journalist, whether you or any other journalist, needs to go against that dominant narrative?
No, I think...
Otherwise, you lose your sense of being a journalist.
Yeah, I believe a journalist's job is basically to show the mirror, good, bad, and ugly. Now, I am not a PR agent. I'm not a cheerleader. I'm not going to be a cheerleader of the Gandhi family. I'm not going to be a cheerleader of Mr. Mamata Banerjee. I'm not going to be a cheerleader of Narendra Modi. But the problem is that each of these leaders has their goon squad. the Trinamool goon squad, the Congress goon squad, the BJP goon squad, who will say either you fall in line or we will come and, put you in. And that's terrible, because that is making the basis for dialogue, is shrinking. I mean, I'm sorry to say, Derek, it's true of Kolkata as well.
See, Rajdeep,
you've replaced one militia with the other.
That's not true. We can have another debate on that. But today it's your day, so I'm not engaging in debate with you as a good host of the city. The lady in the first row in the blue. I said the lady in blue.
Oh,
okay.
We grew up idolizing you, Barkhadar, and a whole bunch of people who had content as heroes. And then you all brought out fearless journalism, portraying whatever as it was. We want to see that on television. We want to see things as they are. We are not scared to see them. But something like a Charlie Hebdo, a backlash.
Question?
If our journalism is as expressive, as open, as secular, and without any fear, do you fear as a journalist there will be a backlash? So you have to restrict yourself somewhere.
You can't have a Charlie Hebdo in India, for good reasons also at times. Let's be honest. We are a very different freedom. I am among those who believe that freedom of expression is not absolute. I mean, I believe that there will be reasonable restrictions that society will put it from time to time. We are a very, very difficult society in which to accept the idea of freedom of expression being absolute. But I think the earlier point you made, I think journalists were by nature more fearless, more courageous 10, 15 years ago than they are today. I think, or even 20, 25. I think over time, we have got co-opted by the system. And that is the unfortunate reality. And we are constantly looking over our shoulder now. And maybe patterns of ownership have something to do with it. Maybe just, as I said, the overall political and the social environment has something to do with it.
Rajdeep, you didn't answer my question on patterns of ownership. I asked you that question right at the top of the program. And thanks to your question, I can bring this up. Talk to us about the patterns of ownership. You are a senior journalist. What is the solution?
I wish I had a solution. I mean,
you're shying away from the question.
No, you set up your own small digital setup.
So you think digital will overcome a lot of this?
I hope so. I mean, I really hope so, that because digital, the costs of entry are less. Because the moment you today want to start a large network, you want to start a large newspaper, the fact is that the ownership patterns are such that they will never really give the kind of space you want to genuinely practice free media in this country.
Rajdeep, did you ever get a call in your last 2 years in CNN-IBN? You said so many things in your book. Let's say Mukesh Ambani called you and asked you to spike a story. Yes, no. Don't avoid now. Give me a straight yes or no.
No, I mentioned it in the book.
Oh, tell me.
When we did the Google Hangout with Arvind Kejriwal in April of 2014, I got, we did the Hangout at 3 in the afternoon. And both before the Hangout and after it, we got these various legal notices from Reliance asking me to take it off air. And I had made it very clear that I wasn't going to take it off air. There were 13 Hangouts, and each one was entitled to be heard. Kejriwal was just one of the 13 people who was going to be heard on a Hangout. And, what happened? At the end of the day, I lost my job. But it's a small price to pay, I believe. I do believe that just as in the 70s, I idolized journalists who stood up to the emergency. I read a lot about that. That's the generation, that's what drove me to the media. I read about the journalists who sold out to the Congress in the 70s, and I read about the journalists who said they will not sell out. And I believe just as the challenge was posed then by political parties, today the challenge is posed by this sort of corporate political nexus. And it is, to my mind, even more frightening, because at some level it will simply, if allowed to reach its logical conclusion, we will never allow free media then in this country to express itself. We will simply be extensions of this what I find a a very, very difficult system to deal with.
Well, Rajdeep, it's always easier to ask the questions than to answer them. Thanks for being with us. It was wonderful. And I think there's lots more from Rajdeep coming up in the next few years, because I think he has lots to say, and I don't think he's even said 20% of what he knows in his book. So from Kolkata, a big round of applause for Rajdeep. You know, on a personal note, I've never been to a literary festival in my life. This is my first, and the only reason Rajdeep is here and I'm here is the same reason. Malavika Banerjee, you can't say no to her, right? So
that's right. As I said, you see, she also shares the same initials as your supreme leader.
I know that.
So you would.
That's why I have such a good equation with her.
So you would find it even. So I think what happened
Rajdeep,
is that
I've given you so many chances to have a dig at me today.
No, I'll tell you what happened. He got a tweet saying, "You have to attend the Kolkata Literary Festival, MB." He thought it was Mamta.
Good one. On that happy note, now you'll be doing the signature books, and the first guy who won the prize, you please come and get your book first, and after that, it's an autographed copy for $5.99. Thank you very much, and good evening.